We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait to see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Raise up a white flag. Didn't come this far just to turn back. The curtains fall for the last act. Breaking that levee, breaking that levee. We don't back down. This is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait to see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. We're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait to see. We're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. Legendary.
I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on a battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat of my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. control this, it's explosive.
We're a racing family that you can trust on and off the track. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection. If we fix your foundation and you mention Race On Texas, you will get a 1-year free subscription to the All Access Pass.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
10 years of speed, 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
iRacing on LSRTV welcomes you to Kansas Speedway. Round number 7, the Stars and Stripes Racing League. And we're ready to go after an exciting last Thursday night's events at Bristol. Ready to see if Scott Rickard can continue with the points lead as we move into tonight's race at Kansas. Welcome to coverage. iRacing on LSRTV. I'm Wesley Outland. Jason Rockefeller back again. Missed you, buddy.
I'm back from the dead, I guess. Last week calling Road to Pro, obviously, or now it's formerly called as the eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series. Had a fantastic time calling that event, but I'm ready to go here tonight. I heard, obviously, Bristol was a fun one last week. Kyle McCoy went out there and picked up his first win of the season, was finally able to get it done. I guess maybe I'm just that bad luck charm. I don't know. We're going to have to see how he does tonight, if he can continue that stride forward in the points, obviously, picking up his first win of the season. Currently sitting 8th on the board in practice. And tonight, Wesley, we're at the Kansas Speedway. This track is probably one of the best tracks to race at here for this Xfinity Series car. The progressive banking from 17 to 20 degrees through 1 and 2 to 3 and 4. This can provide some really good racing for these drivers here tonight, and it should be exciting for us up here in the booth.
Yeah, the mile and a half at Kansas will definitely entertain us for sure. Bristol was very exciting. Not many caution flags in that 250-lap race at the last Great Coliseum, and now we'll see what Kansas will entail here for round number 7. Let's take a look at the Hunt the Front TV race information for tonight. No fast repair for this series, 100% fuel, and 4 sets of tires will be used in this race if they choose to. There'll be 1 attempt at an overtime finish, a green-white checker. 200 miles, 134 laps is the distance on the mile and a half here at Kansas Speedway. That's, again, presented by HuntTheFront.tv. Let's take a look now at the Kaufman creative weather conditions. And look at this, 78 degrees in the sim temp. Air temp at 78, Jason. 109 degrees on track temperature, man. That sun is beaming. I know it says partly cloudy, but that sun is out right now glistening on the pavement here at Kansas.
Yeah, that's nearly a 31 to 32 degree difference from the track temp to the ambient air temperature. This track is going to be very slick here tonight, this evening. Obviously, afternoon, daytime here in the sim. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these cars react, obviously, on this fixed setup. Usually these cars, they tend to get really loose in the beginning of runs, and then towards the end of these runs, they can get very tight. You can see guys really start to run the wall, and expect to see guys running all over the place. Bottom, middle, top, doesn't matter. Anywhere is fair game here at the Kansas Speedway. For about the first 5 to 6 laps, you'll see guys start to get in line, try to run that bottom, save a little bit of tire, make sure they don't get too wide coming off 2 and off 4. And then obviously as the runs progress throughout the night here on these green flag runs, that's if we even get long green flag runs, because we've seen some chaotic finishes and races here, Wesley. I know both me and you have, from Northwest to other series as well that we've covered here on LSRTV. You will see guys go to the top to try to really get past people if they need to with those worn tires.
Qualifying on track now, Ellis Thomas, Apex Energy, Chevrolet number 80, and he's in the safer barrier on the turn 2 exit down the backstretch. That's really going to hurt his lap time. We'll see where he ends up here in qualifying, as right now they've got less than 3.5 minutes to try to put down a really fast lap. And James Howard, Kyle McCoy, Ross Tatum, Scott Rickard now, the points leader, just shooting up to the top of the board. And Ellis Thomas is going to get another shot at it, man, in a 32-second bracket. That really hurt his time when he got in the wall there, Jason. Much better transition off turn 2 this go-around.
Yeah, the outside lane is really a fast place for these guys, obviously, in qualifying, but really you want to be able to get down to the bottom. You just see Thomas here, though, riding this outside lane of the Apex Energy machine. Coming off turn 4, I expect him to go to the apron right here, in which he will. Cuts across all the way through to the line. That time, 31.246. Thomas gonna go actually all the way up to 5th. So very fast lap. Outside lane looks to be the way to go here in this qualifying session, just probably because of obviously the heat. Usually when this sun goes down, obviously, and we race here in the nighttime, when you qualify, you want to be on that bottom side. But this outside lane here in the day at Kansas has always been a really dominant lane. You think obviously to the real life stuff, the trucks, the Cup, the Xfinity Series especially. They run in the daytime here. You see a lot of guys run it up towards the wall. When these lights come on, obviously, and they race underneath the moonlight, everybody usually runs the bottom lane because there's just so much more grip. The track's a lot cooler, so that's why a lot of these guys are obviously running up the top of here as well.
Here comes now Christopher Smith, car number 81, the Apex Energy entry. We saw his teammate car, Ellis Thomas. His Chevrolet was outside the top 10 in 6th. Let's see what the Chevrolet Camaro Christopher Smith will be able to do. Right now, James Howard, the man that set fast time here. So far, unofficially, 31.141. The time to beat, 31.141, with about 90 seconds left to go here in qualifying for the Kansas 200. Here comes now Christopher Smith. He'll move to second quick. 31-155 for the 81 is Joshua Robinson in the Micro Center Chevrolet Camaro on course now, Jason.
Yeah, Josh has had a really solid season so far, obviously. Been having some really strong runs we've seen from the beginning of this season so far. I expect some great things out of him here tonight. We were just talking to him a little bit briefly during pre-race, or rather pre-qualifying session, obviously, during the practice time that they had right before we went live on the air. And Josh is obviously, like we mentioned, he has had a good season so far, solid season for the 6 starts he's had so far. 7th race of the season tonight here at Kansas. 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s for the driver of the number 30 machine. We're going to see right here at the line, this time 31.2, going to slot him in the 12th spot. So going to have a little bit of work to do if he wants to make it up towards the front here tonight.
Ryan Lynch now, the cookout machine. And Ford Mustang now on the clock to qualify. And whoa, sideways as he worked off for that second corner. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that as they'll enter the American Ethanol back straightaway here at Kansas. And right now, the cookout. Ford getting ready to come down to the line. James Howard, 31-141. Will this be competitive? No, it will not. 31-5, double deuce. 31.522. That's good enough for 6th. And that'll wrap up qualifying here as the time has ran out for anybody else to try to set time. So the Verizon 5G Fast Qualifier is going to go to the car number 29 of course, James Howard. What a time he put down, and the field is gritting here at Kansas. The starting lineup in the Kansas 200. Let's give you the lineup now on row 1. James Howard, the number 29 on the pole. Dylan Hoffman right there on the outside. Row 2. Christopher Smith in the 81. Ross Tatum, a winner this year in the 21. Row 3, Scott Rickard, the points leader. And Joshua Robinson in the car 30. Moving on to row number 4, Will Bussler, 2-time winner on the year. Tim McNally to the outside. Top 10 here at Kansas. Thomas Ogle, he did good at Bristol. And the Bristol winner, Kyle McCoy in the 7, starts 10th.
Top 20, you go back to row number 6, just saw Ellis Thomas in qualifying. He'll start on the inside of the number 80, alongside Trey Jackson in the number 5 there on row 6. Back to row number 7, Derek Offerman in the number 20, and Jason Gratton in the 42 to the outside. Row number 8, Andrew Hess in the 54 machine. He is a previous winner here at the Kansas Speedway, I believe it is. Ben Dunn there in the 14-2 is outside. Row number 9, Zach Kreitz in the 46. Chris Lushin coming off of the top 10 from Bristol last week. He'll be on the outside. And Wesley rounding out the top 10. Josh Whitaker in the number 28. And Aaron Hale there in the number 4.
Moving on to row 11. Diego Valle in the 68, the Atlanta winner. And followed by him, Robert Sherwood in the 22. Row 12, Kyle Bowling and Brian Lynch, 44 and 24. Row 13, Mark Fish in the 13. And Dylan Glass in car 16. Moving on to the next rows, it's going to be Ryan Lynch in the 31, William Duff in the back in that number 17. Top 30 will find Paul Thomas in the 40, Tom Wizza, that qualifying run in the 51, and the rest of the lineup will find Brian Burchett, Mark Schrader, row 16, and by himself, Mitch Smith in the 92. 33 drivers ready to go here as the field begins to roll off pit road for their parade laps. Ready to go here in the Kansas 200. There you see him right there, the Verizon 5G cellular sales entry Chevrolet. James Howard. James Howard was the Verizon 5G fast qualifier of the race here in round 7 at Kansas. Dylan Hoffman right there alongside. Before we drop the green, the Stars and Stripes Racing League on LSRTV is proudly presented by these fine sponsors. Butt Kicker. Thanks also to Next Level Racing. The On the Throttle podcast, available on all major podcast platforms and outlets. And finally, Verizon. And only fitting to have a Verizon 5G 29 of James Howard ready to bring him to the start 33 drivers ready to go. 200 miles, 134 laps as they work here at Kansas off of turn number 4. Green flag goes in the air. We're underway as the field works their way down across the start-finish line. Howard on the inside. He's got the momentum. He'll pull to the top quickly, Jason. We're green and 1.
You see him starting to fan out right now. Ross Tatum jumps all the way up to the top of the racetrack, up against the safer barrier, exiting turn number 2 this time. They all fan out, file out, that being down the back straightaway, entering turn number 3. Scott Rickard, your points leader, to the inside of the 21, while Ross Tatum tries to close the gap to the 15 of Hoffman off 4.
Here they come down to the line, put the opening lap to James Howard. He'll be the man up there, leading. Right now, everyone working back into the corner. Smith down to the inside, so is Hoffman. Tatum up top, so is McCoy, or Bustler, correction. All this going on now as he hit the back straightaway.
You see this 21 here of Ross Tatum using that outside lane to his advantage with obviously these fresh tires these guys all have here at the start of the race. Working around the 15 of Hoffman, you ride on board inside the cockpit with Ross Tatum. You see his virtual driver there just absolutely ripping around this 1.5 miles here in the heartland. You see him back up against the wall here going into 1 and 2. Still using it, but you really can't stay up there for too long here in the early part of this run, Wesley. We talked about, obviously, you can make it work for about 5, 6, maybe at most 7 laps. Then you got to start going down to the bottom, save a little bit of tire, and then later on in the run, once those tires kind of equalize and wear out, that's when you can start seeing guys really run the top for most of the race.
There you see the distance now between the top 5 there. It's on-looking Bustler trying to run down Tatum and Smith. Chris Smith down to the inside, on board now with Ross Tatum. He'll clear and go to the number 2 spot. Try to set his sights on the leader. Chris Smith down to the inside of Bustler. Tatum now up high. Howard leads him off the corner. So far, 4 laps in here in this event at Kansas Speedway. Track measures at 1.5 miles, and they're going to take every opportunity to use this racetrack from the apron up to the top of the safer barrier. There's a big gaggle of traffic in the top 10 going back to 1.
Yeah, you see right there, that pack right there into turn number 2, led by Josh Robinson. Right behind him, you have Derek Offerman in that number 20, throwing it back to Joey Logano in the 2012 era, obviously, when he ran for Joe Gibbs Racing. Oh, we got a caution on the racetrack. First one of the night. Believe it could be William Duff.
Problems between the 24 machine and the 17 off of turn number 2, putting us under our first yellow flag of the race. Again, that's the Brian Lynch in 24, William Duff the 4th in the 17. A couple other cars down below the bottom of the apron there, trying to get back going again. Mark Schrader might have got a piece of it also. Here's a look at the replay. Wow! What a save by Grattan to keep on going in the camel colors of the number 42 machine.
Wesley, I'm not really too sure right there if the 17 had such a massive run coming off the corner that he decided real quick to check up and actually, oh no, see what it is he was checking up, had to avoid the 4. Unfortunately, just comes down, collects the 24 of Brian Lynch right there, and you see everybody obviously get collected that was involved in that wreck right there. But no harm, no foul. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage to some of those cars that we can see. And obviously that puts us under the first yellow flag of the night. So we'll see if they can rebound here late on in this race.
Got drivers in the back of the top 20 that are onto the pit lane. Rob Sherwood, Aaron Held, obviously Mitch Smith, Brian Lynch, William Duff the 4th, Mark Schrader, all on pit road for service to be done. As James Howard is the man that leads here in the early going. There's that number 29 machine. Ross Tatum in second, couple of Chevrolets in the top 3 podium, along with the Toyota of Will Bustler, 2-time winner this year. Chris Smith, Scott Rickard, Dylan Huffman, Ellis Thomas, Tom Ogle, Kyle McCoy, and Josh Robinson, all in Chevrolets, Jason. 9 Chevrolets, 9 bow ties, 1 Toyota in the top 10.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, but most of these guys, obviously, I mean, I myself am not a Chevy guy when it comes to running this B car here. I actually run the Ford Mustang, and just like that, I run that in the Cup Series. I only run a Chevy when I run the trucks. That's the only other time I run something other than a Chevy. You'll never see me running a Toyota, I promise you that much, but you see all these Chevys up at the front. That's really what a lot of guys like to race with this B car. I don't know, you know, if there's just something about it that most guys like, because every car has its advantage, whether it be aero-wise, feeling-wise, it doesn't really matter. I mean, and it's really the guys who are on the sim all the time and own, you know, a majority of all the three manufacturers, whether it be the A, the B, or the C cars. It doesn't matter. They always have something to nitpick at it. Oh, well, I can see better with this car. Oh, I feel like I can push better with this car. I feel like I can pack more air with this car. Stuff like that. It's the little things that, you know, somebody maybe like us or you know, the viewers at home might not realize, but that's why a lot of these guys tend to drive a majority of the same manufacturer that they do across a majority of series, leagues, official stuff. That's why you see a lot of these guys running Chevrolets, but also they could just be dedicated Chevy fans.
Lights off for the safety car, getting ready to come back to the Geico restart zone and get this race back underway after the first caution of the event. By the way, caution information presented by Virginia811.com. For the race summary, there it is so far. 1 caution, 3 yellow flag laps. No lead changes as it's been all James Howard in that Verizon 5G cellular cells Chevrolet up in front. Xfinity cars with these drivers are occupying as we go back to green flag, round 7 of the Stars and Stripes Racing League here at Kansas. Back to green. Tatum way to the bottom of the apron there, Jason, taking a different line than Howard did. Howard's second verse, same as the first on the original go. He climbs the outside, making into 1.
Yeah, and I'm sure right there when they were coming to the start-finish line, they might give a little bit of a warning to Ross Tatum possibly for doing that, because I know it is really frowned upon here at these mile-and-a-halves that, you know, allow you to go down to that apron on the starts. You're usually not supposed to go down there until the start-finish line. You think about it, I believe it was Kevin Harvick actually here at Kansas many years ago, or Martin Truex Jr., that got penalized on a restart for going all the way to the bottom of the apron on the restart. So they might be able to give Ross Tatum a little bit of a warning right there. You don't see that typically on a restart here at Kansas. Most guys don't start filing out until the next time by down to the apron, but obviously you see he's been able to maintain in that second spot, trying to go after James Howard. You right on board Chris Smith. He's under fire from Scott Rickard there in the 05 machine, trying to make a run at him here on the bottom as they head back to the trioval.
Watching all this going on now is Tire Pros entry under attack. That's Rickard, the points leader, Scott Rickard. Here comes now the 16 on pit road, the Yingling colors. A lot of cars on pit road here in the opening 10 laps of this race now, as it looks like now Dylan Glass will join the drivers of Aaron Helmut Smith and Mark Schrader multiple laps down on pit road. Tatum and Smith, they go at it for the second spot. Now they go back single file. Rickard, Bustler all in tow as they work back the top 5 into 1.
Yeah, you see them coming back down in the 1. That number 29 machine really likes this top lane, I'm noticing here, especially on these on the 2 starts that we've had, where the 1 start, the initial one, and then this 1 restart we've had so far. It is just so hard, Wesley, when you're on still fresh tires. If you're a guy like let's say a Scott Rickard here, who's trying to work this bottom on, you see Chris Smith, you just can't get the momentum. Look at the momentum that Chris Smith gets off the corner. The only thing that's going to help Scott Rickard, you know, in the long run is obviously being down there and being able to save a little bit more tire. But when it comes to being early in a run, this outside lane here is just so dominant. Kind of like almost, if you would say, a Homestead Miami Speedway. Most guys like to run the top side there on the initial runs. You don't really see a lot of guys running the bottom side, and it's so hard to pass down there. That's how it's going to be here tonight when you're on fresh set of Goodyear Evils.
Back across the line into turn number 1. Everybody all single file except for Rickard. He got up into the safer barrier. Rickard did in the 0-5. He keeps on going, but he did get himself if you will, a glancing blow off the safer barrier. Look at this battle now in the top 15. Trey Jackson, Kyle Bolin, Diego Valle, the Atlanta winner, McNally going at it as they work now side by side into 3 and 4.
Yeah, this is a great battle going on back here. I was just about to mention them going 3 wide. This is the hornet's nest right here that you don't want to be a part of. We have seen so many incidents. Oh, and you almost see one right there. The 44 of Bowling nearly came right up into the 68 of Valle coming through the tri-oval. As you see Valle being able to navigate through the middle lane. He's going to get past the 5 of Jackson. Nearly slaps the wall, I believe. Maybe gave it a little bit of a kiss there. It's not Valentine's Day, but we're a few days past it, so he had to get his Valentine's Day kiss in. But you see the 5 Trey Jackson able to maintain there back to the bottom of the racetrack. That 68 machine is really hauling the mail right now. He's already up 7 spots from where he started. Diego Valle really likes these mile and a halves. We saw obviously how good he was at the old Atlanta. I expect him to make his way through the field here tonight.
Another lap on the board now, 15 laps in. 133 laps, by the way, just shy of 200 miles. 134 laps would have been the official distance, but they're going to go 133 as Diego Valle under attack now, down to the inside. Robinson trying to clear by him. So is also the 14 machine of Dunn. All this happening now. Big gaggle of traffic going at it inside the top 15 as they work back up into turn number 1.
And Valle's still able to roll this outside lane a lot better than that Chipotle number 14 Ford Mustang of Ben Dunn. He will be able to clear him back down into turn number 3. This 68, man, he is flying right now on this short run, doing a great job. He's already gotten to Josh Robinson, who's dropped 6 spots from the initial start of this race. And obviously, you look at Diego Valle. He's only got 5 starts. He's missed out 1 race so far this year. And the only top 5 he was able to obtain, Wesley, so far this season was when he got that initial win at Atlanta back at the beginning of the season. He's got 2 top 10s for the year so far. So some, mediocre stats for the beginning of the year for Diego Valle, but still, he's still learning. He's still trying to get in this rhythm here of this V car, week in, week out, doing a great job right now, though, trying to work his way back up through the field. But noticing, though, he's kind of stalled out right now with Josh Robinson as he works to the outside again.
Getting ready to put about 20 laps on the board now as Valle up on the inside. Robinson on the bottom. On the follow is also Trey Jackson. There's the 44. HendrickCars.com Chevrolet of Kyle Bowling. Big credit to the 40th anniversary team of Hendrick Motorsports. And from iRacing to NASCAR's Great American Race, William Byron winning the 66th running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, Monday at the World Center of Racing.
Yeah, you see these guys coming back down to turn number 1. Everybody's just really now starting to kind of try to get down to the bottom of this racetrack right here. Notice that everybody went from the top. Some guys are still running it. They feel like they're comfortable enough up there, but now you're seeing more guys travel down to the bottom of this racetrack, trying to save more and more tire here. But still some scattered cars going throughout. I want to say in about probably 5 or 10 laps or so, you might see guys trying to start running this bottom, but those guys up on the outside, they're going to be in trouble when they start realizing that their tires are going to be going away.
But another lap on the board. 20 laps completed now. You see that Harry Gant Skull Bandit throwback. I love that car. Brian Burchett right there. Yes, it is, man. Paying homage of Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina, and his great Cup Series career there.
Mr. September.
Howard, Tatum, Smith, Bustler, Rickard, top 5. Ogle, Hoffman, Thomas, McCoy, and Offerman is the top 10. There goes Tatum. Aerial coverage for tonight's race in the Kansas 200. Provided by LSRTV, your home for sim racing. All details at livesimracing.com. Way up high, you see the interval now between all these drivers on the back stretch going into turn number 3. What a lead James Howard has right now in the 29, Jason.
Yeah, doing a great job, but he's not really been able to obviously get away from Ross Tatum just yet. This time by the line, Let me take a look here at the live timing SDK scoring monitor. Ross Tatum a little bit faster that last time around by a little bit more than 1/100th of a second. So he's still fast. He still has what it takes here. And this is the thing about these cars too, Wes. When you come to a mile and a half and you hear a lot of drivers complain about it when they finish second and third, whether it be sim or real life, is clean air, man. Clean air means so much here. You know, especially if you're James Howard trying to scoot away from Ross Tatum, and Ross's biggest negative that he has right now, the deficit for him, is that dirty air, because he's trying to run the outside. The 29's running the line. He's taking that line away from him, which is everything that James Howard needs to do. Wherever this 21 car goes, and if he starts finding speed, you better be able to go down to the bottom, block that run, and take the air away from that 21 car. And Ross is doing an exceptional job. He was even faster that time around by about more than 4/100ths of a second. So Ross still showing some speed up on that top side right now despite the dirty air.
Round number 7, Stars and Stripes Racing League here at Kansas. After Bristol last week, Scott Rickard has the points lead. He's 37 ahead on, of course, Christopher Smith. 44 back is Will Bustler. Kyle McCoy, 58 back. 64 back is Dylan Hoffman, your top 5. Thomas Ogle, Kyle Boland, Ross Tatum, who has a good run going right now in the second spot. Timmy McNally, Diego Valle, the top 10 as they work their way back around the racetrack, in and around Lynch, the car involved in an accident in the first yellow flag off turn number 2, and they're all still trying to catch Howard in the 29. As now we got a great battle now heating up between that 7 machine of McCoy and Thomas on the backstretch.
Yeah, and you see Kyle, obviously. I talked about being possibly the bad luck charm for him. He was finally able to get it done just 1 week ago from the Bristol Motor Speedway. And I mean, I wasn't there. So like I said, maybe I'm his bad luck charm. And maybe me not being here is his good luck charm. So let's see how he does tonight. It had to have felt good for him to obviously rebound and obviously come back, win that race. And he's got to have a lot of confidence going into tonight's race. All he needs is a good finish, and I'm sure he wants to continue to strive the momentum.
Believe it or not, approaching 100 laps to go in this race. Whenever they get back at about another handful of laps. Howard, Tatum, Smith, Rickard, Ogle still the top 5. There's the nationwide colors of the Chevrolet Camaro of Jackson. Jackson and Lawson having a nice battle side by side. Lynch looking on. All this goes on in the 31 Cookout machine, trying to run him down as they go back to 1.
You see him running this outside lane here, trying his best to get around the 5 of Trey Jackson, who's continuing to slide his way back through this middle of the pack where he started. Lawson finally able to pick up a spot, a net gain rather, from where he started back in the 18th position. Kind of a little bit of a struggle this season for him so far, that being Chris Lawson, obviously. Only 2 top 10s, no top 5s for the driver of the number 3 machine. He's made all 6 races so far this year. It would be good for him to just finish again inside the top 10. Consistency is key, obviously, when you come to a series like this, that, you know, obviously rewards itself, with an old points format. So finishing positions obviously matter, and Christian really needs to do a good job here tonight, pick up a top 10. Top 5 would feel like a win for him, probably.
There you see Rickard now. He's up to 3rd, and he's trying to run down the top 2. As Howard and Tatum right there in a tandem with one another, pulling away from Rickard and company for 3rd on back as they work their way, closing in on 100 remaining. And there's now Bustler and Hoffman battling. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jason.
Oh, good. Ross Tatum, though, is actually starting to really close that gap, and he has closed it into almost just about a 1/10 of a second. So there's going to be a battle for the lead here probably pretty shortly. I wonder if Ross started running a different line. Let's see if maybe we can get a look at him on the racetrack. And no, he is still riding right behind this 29 machine. It's just amazing what this 21 machine has been able to do at the top of this racetrack, following the tire tracks of James Howard despite having that dirty air. And the great thing about that is, yes, he's in the dirty air. That's a negative there, as you see him in the Topo Chico Seltzer Chevy Camaro. And the 29 machine could get very well pressured into a mistake. We've seen it time and time again at these mile and a half. You think back, obviously, Wesley, to last year's NASCAR Cup Series race here. Kyle Larson versus Denny Hamlin. Denny got close enough, was riding the same exact line, pressured Larson into making a mistake, caused him to get in the wall. Denny went for a pass. Larson tried to side draft and ultimately made himself get to the wall, handing that win to Denny Hamlin in the spring of 2023. So that very well could happen here as we're approaching green flag pit stops, probably I'd say around the lap 45 to 55 marker, I'd say. So it would be great for Ross Tatum if he were able to get around this 29 right now.
Long green flag run of the race right now since the incident that happened in the opening 10 laps. And we're approaching now 35 completed. Howard all the way to the top of the safer barrier, working off turn 4. Ross Tatum, though, intently looking on. James Howard coming into tonight's race. 14th in the point standings. 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s, but no wins. Could tonight be the night for the 29 Verizon 5G Chevrolet? He's in the lead. Ross Tatum right there in tow in second. Ross Tatum is number 8 of the points. He does have 1 win on the year, of course, and that was the win back in February, beginning of the month at Dover.
Yeah, Ross is just doing such a great job. I'm really actually shocked at how much he's been able to close on this 29. Like we talked about constantly, riding the top of the racetrack in the tire tracks. You typically don't see that, but he's been doing a great job pressuring this 29 machine to get wider through the corners to allow him to obviously close up. And the thing that's really helping Ross Tatum too is that draft down the back straightaway off these corners. That draft is so wicked with these B cars here, especially down the front straightaway. It really helps carry that momentum into the corner. But notice somebody who's coming into the picture here, Wesley. He's only back by about half a second to this 21 machine. That's the 05 of Scott Rickard, running the top side just like the rest of those two up there. You ride from the onboard Declan cam of Ross Tatum. Scott Rickard very well could challenge these guys here for the lead pretty shortly.
Working down front straightaway now, back to the tri-oval. A lot of these drivers can take advantage of driving below the apron, below the white line, to try to get some type of a advantage on drivers up on the top. If they're brave enough right now. Howard, Tatum, there's Bustler and McCoy. Bristol winner. Bustler right there in the number 1 machine, and obviously Will Bustler third in the point standings. 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 2 wins on the year. He won back at Daytona and Michigan in January.
Yeah, really strong season so far for that number 1 machine. And you think he's wearing those Jordan colors today, and he's been doing it all season long. You think back, Wesley, Kurt Busch won his final NASCAR Cup Series race in that exact same paint scheme right here in 2022. Obviously, great day for him. Fantastic driver, legendary career for sure. And Will Bustler definitely showing his strength here today at Richmond. No spots gained so far, but he's still in the mix, obviously. Top 10 run for him right now. I expect him to probably be up at the front inside the top 5, maybe even a podium spot by the end of this race, just because of how strong he has been all season long. As you see him close up to the back bumper of Chris Smith, and he'll work to the outside of him here entering turn number 3.
Smith on the bottom, Bustler up high, McCoy will follow. They'll try to be Maverick and Goose, if you will. Trying to get around Smith's car. Right now, 42 laps on the board next time by. Everything going clean so far since the incident that happened in the opening 10 laps. And right now, everybody just kind of minding their P's and Q's, just ticking off laps one by one. And you got to think, Jason, they keep going out about another 10 or 15 laps, we're going to see green flag pit stops happen.
Yeah, just like I mentioned, here we go. Already one coming in. James Howard decides to do not necessarily a little bit of an undercut, but this is about almost right at the start of the pit road cycle beginning. We talked about it was going to be about 45, maybe 55 laps here just because of the one caution we had. But usually around 40 to 45 laps is when you start seeing guys kind of pit here at these 1.5 miles, especially with these Xfinity Series cars. And he's going to come into his pit stall, obviously. Pole for that 29 machine. He'll have the last pit box on pit road, taking 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. And here's the thing, Wesley. Watch how much faster this 29 machine is going to be now that he's got those 4 fresh tires. You look back right now, your leader Ross Tatum, as you see the number 20 machine. Derek Offerman, he's in. Ellis Thomas also in as well. Best lap posted by Ross Tatum was a 31.570. Last time around, 33.124, nearly 2 seconds of fall off here. That 29 machine is going to be fast.
Yeah, Howard looking good. Here comes Tatum now. Almost locks him up in the rear. Brakes, trying to get him on the binders to not get busted for a speeding penalty. You mentioned James Howard of the Verizon 29, obviously first car to enter on pit road for green flag pit stops, and the benefit is Howard gets to go all the way to the last pit stall on pit road entrance and the first pit stall on exit being at pit stall 1, and that is a big advantage for the Kentucky driver right now.
Yeah, definitely big, obviously. You see this 05, he was, really running good, but that 29 machine, electing to be the first one to come into the pits from the race lead, he is probably going to be able to put maybe a second or so on Ross Tatum and also Scott Rickard. So we're going to have to see how this all cycles out. Scott's electing to stay out right now, and I believe he's going to be coming down this time. No, he won't. I thought he was going to go a little bit lower, so maybe another lap or two here for the 05 machine. We'll see what his strategy is as he continue to have green flag pit stops. Will Butler, William Duff in. Diego Valle comes to pit road this time in the 68 machine.
68 on pit road, lap number 47 when they come to the line with Rickard. The points leader up in front now. The Tire Pros entry. Hoffman now second, McCoy third. And again, all beginning the starting cycle of green flag pit stops all underway here. There's about now 13 cars on the lead lap as Valle will exit off pit road. There's the leader. Scott Rickard up in front. He's also the points leader coming into the ninth event, as I aforementioned earlier. 37-point lead over Christopher Smith. And right now, he's the top dog here at Kansas as we approach lap 50. Jason.
Yeah, I'm surprised Scott's staying out this long. He's probably going to wait till around lap 50, I'd say, to come in and pit. Look at this gaggle of traffic right here. You have Christian Losh and Trey Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Thomas Ogle. This is all caused by drivers who are on faster and quicker, cleaner, newer tires. You can just see how much faster they are compared to them. You saw Losh and the 28 of Whitaker, Andrew Hess, all of them fell back while the 81 and the 11 just flew by them like they put on the brakes.
There goes the Wiener Schnitzel, number 54 Hess as Whitaker on pit road in 28. Amoco colors.
That might have been a speeding penalty right there. I noticed he kind of locked it up after the fact that he was already past the line. Very well could be a speeding penalty for the 28 Amoco colors of Josh Whitaker right there. Might have been a little too fast, so we'll see how obviously he shakes up coming up pit road. Here comes Scott Rickard. Oh, he's really fast. Oh, no, he's going to lock it up big time. Oh, that's definitely got to be a speeding penalty for Rickard.
So possibly 2 speeding penalties back-to-back for Whitaker and for Rickard. This will hurt. Hitting it here in the early going, obviously, is a lap 50. More pit stops. Hoffman on pit road. Haviland colors, number 15. We await to see if there'll be any penalties announced here, Jason. Sorry about that. I worked with Charles last week.
All good. Hey, it's all right because I almost called him Wesley about 5,000 times this week when we were calling the FTSR action, obviously from Mach 1 on Wednesday and then the Sim Racing Points Truck Series just last night at Atlanta. And I guess let's bring him in because we can't ever get enough of his voice. Charles, what do you got for us on pit road? Anything they got saying about that 54 coming to pit road by chance?
Well, I was eating ice cream.
Ice cream!
So far, we got nothing. It does not look like he got caught. I don't know how. I think he had a miracle there.
Charles, can you give us a Northwest Racing Series update, buddy, since the last time we mentioned something last Thursday night?
No. We got nothing. We know we're starting later, and we're going at least on Mondays. We know that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, other than that, we got no news, and you know what they say, no news is the good news, I guess. I don't know. In this case, I don't think it is.
Well, I did see where they put something in the Northwest Discord in regards of trying to start picking out or finalizing what it is that they're going to do. So, yeah. All good. Thank you, Charles. Back to eating his ice cream.
Now, you're welcome to come on down and get one, but I don't believe NASCAR would think much of you trying to eat an ice cream cone out there. You have enough trouble riding around at the track as it is.
Such an awesome movie. Days of Thunder. I seen where they're going to make a Top Gun 3, dang it. We need a Days of Thunder 2. Okay.
Hey, they said it was going to happen. They said it was going to happen.
Tom Cruise getting old.
Involved. Hey, he ain't getting any younger.
Hey, you know what would be cool, Jason? You know what? In Days of Thunder, Cole Trickle used to talk about running sprints in IndyCar. What if they did a Days of Thunder 2 and it was about IndyCar, like chasing the Indy 500? Wouldn't that be a cool storyline script?
Oh my gosh, you kidding me? That would be amazing considering the fact that there hasn't been an Indy 500 movie pretty much since the last movie was made, which was Turbo. And that was an animated kids film, and they still did a good job with that one. So, I mean, I would absolutely love to see an IndyCar film, obviously. And here's something good, obviously, Wesley. I finally got the chance to drive the IndyCar over the weekend for the first time, obviously, since they're back on iRacing. And iRacing obviously was able to obtain the IndyCar gaming license from Motorsport Games, thank the Lord. And, you know, got to try that out. Man, that thing is so much fun to drive. Absolutely love it. It's a blast. I would love to see an adaptation of somebody making a good script, having a good director, good actors. I'm excited for when the Brad Pitt Formula One movie comes out. That should be fun as well.
Yes. Kyle Bowling on pit road. Hendrick Cars, Pepsi, number 44. Wiener Schnitzel, number 54 of Hess, making a pit stop. And right now, Trey Jackson, the leader, there he is. It's Whitaker, storms by him in the 28 machine, trying to get his lap back in the 19th spot. 19 cars in the lead lap now, as Greg Lawson is the first man, one lap down.
And you know something, Wesley? Remember how we talked about those pit stops? You see Trey Jackson finally coming to pit road. Only one more car to go, and that would be Rob Sherwood to come in that 22 machine. So we'll see if he elects to come to pit road. Obviously, you saw the 14 right behind the 5. He comes in. But James Howard, with being able to pit earlier than Ross Tatum, he pulled out to a little bit less than 4 seconds over that 21 machine. So Ross was really close last run. Man, he's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to get back up to that 29.
Rob Sherwood, now the new leader. There he is. The ADAA, the Anxiety and Depression Associates of America. And really trying to spread awareness and cause about that, because, Jason, anxiety and depression is real.
Yeah, definitely. As somebody who's majorly affected by anxiety and depression, it's always good to obviously see a lot of these companies come on board in the recent years. You think obviously about Race to Stop Suicide, Driven to Save Lives, big part of Ryan Newman. I know he supports it. And also Race to Stop Suicide, a part of Daniel Dye this year over at Bill McAnally Racing coming on board. Big help there. Obviously, and always remember, folks, to check in on your loved ones, your friends, because you never know what somebody might be going through, and definitely reach out to anybody if necessary.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate in the Race to Stop Suicide. Obviously, right now, working back into the corner. There's that number 20 Home Depot colors. That's a light orange, not a bright orange, Jason. It's a light orange throwback to obviously Derek Offerman on Joey Logano when he ran that car back in the day for Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, absolutely love that car too. And you know what the thing was? I mean, and I absolutely loved all the Tony Stewart Home Depot primaries that came out every year, ever since he started driving in the late 90s all the way to his conclusion at Joe Gibbs Racing in 2008. It was always a great, slick-looking paint scheme for the Pontiacs to the Chevys, and then to the Toyota in 2008, and then Joey Logano taking over the ride. Always great-looking cars. Remember, Joey Logano got his first career win in 2009, and then ultimately got his second career win at Pocono in that very paint scheme, beating the great Mark Martin late in the going at the Pocono Raceway. Great race, great car, great paint scheme. Great time, man. I love 2012. I don't know if that's just me because I was young and I loved it, but man, 2012 was a great year to watch NASCAR.
This is the Kansas 200. Approaching halfway, believe it or not, in about another, couple of laps so far. One yellow flag to slow things down in this race. Don't forget, next week, we move on to round number 8, and that will be short track racing, Jason. How about that? The Next Level Racing 180 Richmond Raceway. Next Thursday night. That'll be a good one. 2 short tracks.
I'll be over. Yeah, I'll be over calling Road to Pro, but I'll definitely be tuning in from time to time during the broadcast under commercial breaks. But man, it's going to be a fun one for these guys. This car at Richmond handles so awesome, and it's really loose out there with the horsepower, the lack of downforce these cars have. And I tell you what, Wesley, if there is any top 3 division race that you want to go see at a short track in NASCAR, it is the Xfinity Series, man. I had the privilege when I went down in 2021 to Martinsville for the playoffs. I went down there and saw the Xfinity Series race late at night. Man, one of the best races I have ever seen. I absolutely loved it. Those cars, they just rip around that place. The beating, the banging, the drama. So cool anytime you go to a short track with these cars, especially on the sim. Such a fun place to drive. Richmond and the Xfinity car are a great combo for sure.
Don't forget Richmond next week, and then we're going to Darlington, Charlotte. Next 3 races on the schedule for the Stars and Stripes Racing League. There's McNally, Bass Pro Shops Club, Tracker Boats Machine. Having a good run so far tonight, Jason. He's in the top 20. Right now in 19th. It's been kind of a quiet race for him. One of those guys that sometimes gets caught up in trouble, but tonight he's got a really solid run going for him.
Yeah, definitely a solid run, obviously, for that 88 machine. Also, a lot of these guys as well. You look at this 3 machine here of Christian Lawson, just kind of riding around. We talked about how he probably wanted a top 10. We mentioned he's already got 2 top 10s this year out of the 6 races he's ran. Another one would be great to add to the stat book for sure, no doubt about it. Everybody else, though, really having some good nights. Look at Tom Ogle, too, man. Tom Ogle, we looked at Daytona, and Tom Ogle had a terrible night at Daytona, but he has had a stellar season so far. He is the only other guy besides Chris Smith and Scott Rickard to have 5 or more top 10 so far this season. And those are great stats for the driver, the number 11 machine. And imagine if you were to add another one to tonight onto his stat book for the year on simracerhub.com with the point standings and everything like that. That would be another top 5. That would make it 3 for the year for that 11 machine. Great run by Thomas Ogle. In fact, a lot of guys just really riding around so far here tonight. No major incidents besides the one early caution. And but we've seen it, Wesley, time and time again. Somehow, some way, one of these races for us, they always end in some kind of crazy overtime, late race restart. You think about last year, remember, for the Click It RV Fixed Series, they ended up going into overtime, and Jeff Stabnow was able to hold off, I believe it was Ryan Bloom for that win, and that was nearly a photo finish coming to the line. So this track can produce some really great finishes, but also could be a heartbreaker, obviously, in the heartland here.
Already working on lap number 70 of this race. Howard, Tatum, Bustler, Rickard, Ogle, top 5. All this is going on down the back straightaway. Bustler now getting company by, look at this, Rickard on the ball.
Of James Howard this time exiting turn 2.
There's Ogle also starting to reel them in that 5th spot. Driver of the number 11 Chevrolet. By the way, still 9 Chevrolets in the top 10, Jason. 1 Toyota. Will Bustler on his own right now, representing them on the racetrack, as now Tatum and Howard battle for the lead. Tatum on the inside as he got to give him room at a 2. Man!
You got tight right there, man. I thought I was about to have to pull a Dale Jr. and go slide job coming off turn number 2, but thankfully 21 backed out of it. Let the 29 go back by. Now Ross has got to build all that momentum back up in an attempt for it to go for another slide job possibly, or to take away the air on the 29, getting close to him, pushing him harder into a mistake. We're going to have to see right here, man. These guys have been duking it pretty much the entire race. They're back together, and Ross Tatum is hot on his heels one more time, loose off the corner down the back.
James Howard in the top spot. Now Ross Tatum's got to try to reset, refire, and get back around it as the top 2 begin to pull away. Howard, Tatum, Rickard, Bustler, Ogle, top 5. That's the way it stands. We approach now 75 of 133 laps here in the Kansas 200. 1 caution flag. Let's take a look at the race summary just after halfway, presented by Virginia811.com. There it is, Jason. 1 caution, 3 caution laps total, 8 lead changes, and green flag pit stops kind of changed that around as we're battling door-to-door for the lead at the line again.
Yeah, I think if Ross Tatum could have went to the apron right there, he would have had a better arc coming into the corner. He's going to pack some air right on the left rear of Howard, this time entering 1 and 2. Go back to the bottom. Still not enough momentum off the corner. The 29 able to maintain the gap while the 21 has to tuck back in line. Man, Ross Tatum struggling trying to get around this 29 of James Howard, even though he is indeed faster.
Back across the line, Howard, Tatum. There you see him pulling away. Down into the corner into 1 and 2. Look at him right there, just a little bit of a shot coming off of that outside retaining wall, the safer barrier. Here comes now Tatum back to the bottom, going after Howard one more time, keeping him in line, plenty of room, and now there's the crossover. Will he return the favor? Not this time, and that's door-to-door flying for the lead going back into turn 1.
Yeah, you saw the 21, great evasive move right there to push the 29 wide entering the trial. Well, that very well could be what gets Ross Tatum the lead, or at least remain side by side. But James Howard with that outside lane able to power back through to the lead. Ross packs some more air on that left rear. He's going to slide it down into turn number 1. Still cannot get by the 29 here. Coming off turn number 4. Great battle for the lead. And you know who's loving this, Wesley? Scott Rickard. He's closing in nearly a second back.
Yeah, trying to make it a now 3-car battle for that top spot. Now you're on board with James Howard. Where do you go? Where do you do in that Verizon 5G machine? Powers alongside. Tatum on the bottom. Plenty of room given. Best battle on the racetrack is for the lead. And here comes Scott Rickard, the points leader, to make it a 3-car tango. Trio back to 1.
And the 21 machine, he's doing such a good job. I think he's going to get him right here, Wesley. Maybe exiting turn number 2. 29 went a little bit higher. The 21 had a great arc coming off turn number 2. Oh, no, the 29, James Howard into the wall, nearly clips the 21 of Ross Tatum. And we talked about how the 21 could pressure the 29 into a mistake, and he does it while passing him for the race lead. Ross Tatum, your Dover winner from just a few weeks ago, takes the lead at Kansas here on lap number 81, now on 82. And now it's all going to be a battle of attrition. Who can make it the furthest, have the green flag pit stop that they need, and get back to the front and try to win this race.
Man, but how about the mad props that Howard had when he got into the Tatum, and then he backed off there and he let him get it back.
Yeah, big props for sure. I mean, the 29 machine easily could have probably just cut right off the wall. And actually, oh, what's going on with the 29 machine? He's coming into the pits this time by. Man, we've really ran that many laps already that we are already under another wave of green flag pit stops here. So the 29 machine, good heads-up driving by him to be able to come down pit road after losing the race lead. He'll be able to leapfrog the 21 for sure, no doubt, with this move. But the thing is that I think the 29 Wesley has to understand is he has to have the long-run car. Save those tires. I cannot tell you how crucial it is on these mile and a halves, because you feel like you're just driving a boat when you're on old tires. Oh no, Will Butler nearly spins coming to pit road. Able to save it though, might cause a speeding penalty. What we saw earlier with the 54, or the 05 rather, I believe it was, of Scott Rickard, did not get a penalty. We'll see, obviously, if Charles can report whenever there is a pit report given, if the one car does get a pit road speeding penalty.
We'll find out as green flag pit stops are taking place now for the second time here at Kansas. One caution after a multi-car skirmish on the back straightaway, involving the likes of drivers like the 24 of Lynch, Duff in 17, and Schrader in 10. Tatum to the lead, and now Whitaker on pit road again, the 28.
Oh, man. Wesley, here's the thing. If you're Ross Tatum, I mean, I think your best bet, you know you have the long-run car. If you want to stretch it a little bit further, just run a few more laps. Do what Scott Rickard did. Why not? I mean, there's no point. You know that you're going to have that better car in the long run with how good he was at managing his tires up on the outside. Scott Rickard very well could do the same, but I want to say if you're Scott Rickard, don't pass the 21. Allow him to come to pit road, because then you're going to have to do more work when you eventually come out of the pits. If I were Scott, pit when the 21 does. It just makes more sense to do so, because then you're going to be grouped right up with him. You can run him down, learn what he's doing, run his line possibly, and then if the 21 ends up battling, you know, with the 29 again, Scott's going to be right there to pounce if necessary.
Very good, valid points. Green flag pit stops as we still have Ross Tatum in the lead. There's the 80 machine, Ellis Thomas. Remember, we saw him get in the wall in qualifying. Much better run for the Apex Energy number 80 team car to Chris Smith as well, who's in 6th. Thomas is in 10th. And he's got a big battle with Derek Offerman and his Toyota trying to run him down off 4.
Yeah, great run for these Apex Energy guys. They've run really strong inside the top 10 all night long, with Chris there running in 6th. Obviously started in, I believe it was the 3rd spot. The number 80 machine started out to the top 10. Now he is just on the... Oh, whoa, look at this caution on the racetrack. This is going to change everything up. A big crash, I believe, possibly for the 13 machine. There he is. Oh, my goodness. This changes everything. That is the 13 of Mark Fish and the Dude White's Chevrolet Camaro.
Yellow flag out for the 2nd time. Jason, you saw it happen.
Yeah, I think it might have been caused right here with Diego Valle. We're going to get a look. Oh, man, the 13 machine just kind of didn't really let the 68 machine get in the lane. Unfortunately, just holds up the 68, and Diego just kind of runs right into him. I mean, I really don't know who to hold at fault right there. I mean, oh, I didn't even see. Oh, what a hard hit for Diego Valle. So that was that explosion I heard on the race camera. Charles, let's try to see if we can take one more look at it there when they were entering turn number 1, because I don't know if the 68 was on fresher tires than the 13 machine or what, but this 68 machine I had to assume probably was. You could see the run right here coming from Diego Valle down the front straightaway, and it's like he's going to run the top. So the 13 was committed to kind of running the middle to bottom lane, and then decided last minute, I'm going to run the top. Valle tries to pass him. 13 was already getting kind of loose, and the 68 just eventually runs right into him. Nothing they could do. I mean, in all honesty, I kind of fault both drivers.
Well, that's what's happened. As everyone else that had not pitted is on pit road, and actually everybody that did pit is back pitting again. We are going to take a break because we ain't took one all night. We're back with more. The Stars and Stripes Racing League approaching a century grind. Still a long way to go, though. Over 40 laps remaining in the Kansas 200.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Kansas. Scott Rickard now going to be the new man leading. Ross Tatum in second. Kyle McCoy, Tom Ogle, Dylan Hoffman, your top 5. And Jason, finally a caution, man. That it's been what, 80, almost an 80-lap green flag run since the caution come out. This really, I think, changes everything here. So we'll come back to green on lap 92.
Yeah, as I slap another piece of Orbit gum in my mouth, I believe it actually is going to be a really interesting one right here. I mean, that was an 80-lap green flag run, like you said, Wesley. These guys are going to be dealing with a restart that they haven't had to do since, what, lap number 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe? So this is going to be interesting right here. Scott Rickard has the race lead over Ross Tatum, and they all pit at the same time, so I'm interested to see what happens here.
Back to green at Kansas. Do we got any static cameras, Charles? We'll feel the roar another night as Scott Rickard sends him back off out of the corner. And Jason, late in the afternoon also starting to take place. That could really change the handling on some of these guys' cars.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt about it. The one thing, obviously, that I'm really most heartbroken about is the 29 of James Howard. He is all the way back in that 20th position. He got caught, I believe it was a lap down during that cycle of green flag pit stops. Remember, he elected to try to take the undercut after losing the lead to Ross Tatum. Initially decided to come down, caution comes out, now he's stuck a lap down. Now he's back in 19th on the lead lap, man. Just a heartbreaker for this 29 machine. We'll see if he can get back up there, though, but it's going to be a long climb to the front.
Everybody trying to quickly get back in line, make something happen as we're approaching lap 100. 2 cautions so far in this race. That's been it for the Kansas 200. Rickard, Tatum, McCoy, Hoffman, Ogle, top 5. There you see now Christian Lawson battling with Hess. Plenty of room for Offerman. This is in the top 15. Here comes now the 5. Trey Jackson on the bottom. Clear a path. He's on the inside.
Wow. Oh, we got another yellow. Oh!
In the wall. Tom Wizza's car. Caution out. The 40 might have got some help as well, but there's Tom Wizza. Paul Thomas, Tom Wizza. We'll see what happened here, Jason. Yellow flag 3 and the old cliche caution, sprint cautions coming to fruition early here as we approach 100 laps at Kansas.
Yeah, I'm about to see right here what happened coming off turn number 4. I can only imagine this is going to happen in a pinch scenario, and yeah, pretty much just that. Trying to thread the needle, the 51 is. Unfortunately, crawls up the banking right into the number 40 machine. Obviously, that's Tom Wizza and Paul Thomas there in that 51 and 40 machine. So heartbreaker for those two, just racing towards the back. Kind of just a racing deal. 51 trying to thread the needle, 40's out there. Nothing you could really do.
So under the yellow flag for the 3rd time, Jason, does anybody come down pit road? I would say probably not.
Yeah, no, definitely not. They just pitted, obviously. You might see some guys possibly try to come down here. I can only imagine maybe to top off on some fuel, I'd say, but it doesn't look like we're going to get anyone here coming down.
Round number 8 next week, short track racing at Richmond. For round number 9. I'm sorry, round 8, my apologies. Then we move into round number 9. And it will be the race at Darlington, Charlotte, all the next 3 on the way. Very unique racetracks, Jason, that we'll be racing at on the Stars and Stripes Racing League. I think it's going to be very exciting to see what these guys do down the stretch to their Dash for Cash postseason, if you will.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, you got next week, Gosh, I wish it was March. I could really use some warmer weather up here. But February 29th, you got Richmond Raceway next week for the Next Level Racing 180. That's going to be a great one. We already talked about it. Then you go to Darlington, March 7th. I will be here for that. Should be a great great showing. Xfinity cars at Darlington always put on a show, man. Probably the best racing there at Darlington, if I would have to say, comes within the B car. Should be a great one, obviously. The salute to the veterans that night as well should be very, very fun, being sponsored by James Bray. And then you go to Charlotte for the Verizon Charlotte Shootout. That, my friend, is going to be really fun, because the mile and a half at Charlotte is tight, it's fast. It's basically, if you don't count Daytona as the World Center of Racing, you can count Charlotte as the World Center for NASCAR. You start in Charlotte, North Carolina, all the shops, the racetrack, obviously the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Had the pleasure of going there twice in my life. Beautiful facility for sure. Definitely recommend going down there if you're in the Charlotte area at any point during any travels. But yeah, should be a fun one. Looking forward to those races, seeing how it plays out. And then obviously we start the next leg, obviously, in the middle of March. Should be a really fun one for sure.
Going to be a fun time. Stars and Stripes Racing League on Facebook as well as on Discord, social media. iRacing on LSRTV. You can find them on LSRTV at Facebook, X, and Instagram. There you go. By the way, if you saw some of the commercials, one of our partners and actually former owners of iRacing on LSRTV in the past, Race On Texas, has now changed their, of course, official's name to Race On. And nothing changes, just getting a lot bigger and better and more exciting, more racing, more coverage, more content and all that. And of course, we're excited to have what Chris David and the powers that be with Race On do. Look forward to seeing some more of their promotional things throughout the 2024 season and beyond, as we got cars getting the one to go indication on the pit lane, couple of more exit. Jason, we'll get ready to go back for a restart here. What do you know? The points leader right back up in front again with Scott Rickard in that 0-5.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because Scott has really ran third this entire race. Now he has control of this lead. We've seen Ross Tatum show his strength on the long run. This is going to be kind of like, almost like a B fixed race usually on the mile and a half. So they go about 45 laps here. This should be very interesting. I'm really curious to see now that the 29 is out of the way. Will the 21 have the short run car and the long run car? Will Scott Rickard be able to close in on that 21 if that happens? Will he be able to maintain this lead? I'm very curious and interested to see how this battle goes. Oh, and guess what? Kyle McCoy, last week's winner, trying to get 2 in a row there in that Celsius Arctic 5 machine, coming to the green this time.
Lap 100 when they come back for green, and 33 laps to go here at Kansas. Try to go 3 wide possibly. McCoy, Bristol winner last week, trying to go for 2 in a row. He's up to second now, getting around Tatum. Hoffman now in the top 5 with Smith as they work into 3.
Yeah, great clear there by Kyle McCoy to be able to clear Ross Tatum for the second spot. That's just going to make it harder for Ross Tatum to get back to the race lead, having those 2 really strong cars right in front of him. And we haven't really talked about Kyle McCoy much all day, besides mention the fact that he is the Bristol winner from last week and all the heartbreak he's endured this season so far. Now he finds himself going for the lead, possibly on Scott Rickard as he comes out of turn 2.
He thought about it. The points leader in the top spot, and the number 4 seed, Kyle McCoy. Winner last week at Bristol, got himself pumped up, and here comes the Celsius Fit, number 7 Arctic 5 machine Chevrolet, looking for the lead. He clears by Rickard as they go into 1.
Down into number 1, Kyle McCoy able to take the race lead away from Scott Rickard. What a move by the driver who won Bristol 1 week ago, trying to make it 2, all while Ross Tatum tries to catch back up in the 3rd spot, obviously being one of the dominators tonight, seeing a win possibly slip out of his hands. He's under fire from Dylan Hoffman, who works down to the apron. Ross Tatum comes back down to make sure he keeps that 15 in his rearview mirror, entering 1 this time.
All this happening now as they work single file now off of turn number 2 down that backstretch here at the American Ethanol backstretch at Kansas. Hoffman inside, Tatum outside. The Topo Chico machine Chevrolet now under attack. He'll fall back now to 4th, maybe 5th if Smith can get around. They're throwing haymakers at one another. Blocks on the inside and the top. And here they come back to the bank, get into one.
And here comes Chris Smith. Look at him there in that 5th spot. We haven't really talked about him much all night long. He now finds himself back up inside the top 5. Look at this. What a move by the 7 to throw the block on the 05. And the 05 came back up to Dylan Hoffman. Man, great battle for the lead right now. 6 cars under a blanket, separated by less than half a second. Back to Tom Ogle as he looks on the bottom of Chris Smith for 5th.
What an absolutely amazing move and block by Scott Rickard. Pulled up in front of Hoffman and Tatum and Ogle and literally gave everybody plenty of room, but threw the block to block the outside lane, and he made it work, but not for long. Tatum now, he's on the inside. He's got help with Ogle and company. And they're going to go door to door now as here comes now the 7, McCoy, back to the bottom of the apron. Now up to the top, Jason, and we are working lap number 106.
Yeah, Hoffman was able to get to the top here of Ross Tatum. I'm sure he's going to clear him off the corner, and that's going to set up Tom Ogle to be battling with the 21 machine. It's a battle between the 2 Seltzers, White Claw versus Topo Chico. They're down into turn number 3 while Hoffman moves up to 3rd. He tries to make a run on Scott Rickard coming off turn number 4. Boy, Wesley, you got what you got now. You don't want to save, obviously. Still a little bit of ways to go. But, man, these guys are fighting and clawing for every position out here.
Kyle McCoy trying to go back to back in the series. The driver of the number 7. And now Hoffman to 2nd, Rickard 3rd. What a drive for Hoffman now. Hoffman looking for his first win of the year, if that happens. By the way, previous winners on the year so far are 5. That includes only 1 driver with 2 wins this year. That's Will Buzzler. Everyone else with single wins, including Scott Rickard, Kyle McCoy at Bristol last week, Ross Tatum, and Diego Valle from Atlanta. And that's the way it goes as we're approaching 20 to go, Jason.
The 15 machine nearly just pinched the 21 up into the wall, nearly got himself hooked into the outside retaining wall there. Coming into turn number 3, thought smart, back down. Great heads-up driving by the 15, and great job by Ross Tatum to give him the room to recover. Now they're going to remain side by side. Dylan Hoffman doing an excellent job running the bottom of this racetrack. Going to try to slide up again right in front of the 21. Nearly makes contact, opens the door for Tom Ogle. Will go down to the bottom of the racetrack in the White Claw machine down into turn number 3. And that brings Chris Smith along with them as well, trying to make a run at Hoffman this time coming off 4.
And remember, if Kyle McCoy wins this race, Jason, he will be the first back-to-back week winner to do it. The only driver that's got 2 wins did it with a week absent after, of course, the season started. He won Daytona. He got a 24th place finish at Atlanta, and then he turned around and won at Michigan, and that's the driver, Will Buzzler. Other than that, nobody else has gone back-to-back. Here comes the 7, approaching 20 to go. It's about to heat up in Kansas.
Heating up for sure. Scott Rickard seeing the 7 machine kind of starting to pull just a little bit now. Gap is only about a 10.5. Now it's down to a 10th. And as I say, that's Scott Rickard closing the gap back up. He's packing some air on the left rear. Gets right to the bumper of Kyle McCoy off turn number 2. We'll see what he does down here into turn number 3. He'll stay in line. They're going to ride the outside lane here back through 3 and 4, coming to lap 113.
And by the way, let's also throw this out there too, Jason. They don't have to pit no more. Everybody don't have to worry about fuel mileage. They can race their hearts out for the finish of this one.
Yeah, they can race their hearts out for sure, no doubt about it, like we've seen since the drop of this green flag from the previous restart. Look at the 15th, throws another slider, this time right in front of Tom Ogle, who works down to the bottom of the racetrack now. entering turn number 3. Great run for Tom Ogle tonight. He's going to throw a slider down into 3 and 4. Hoffman with a crossover. He'll go back down to the bottom of the racetrack. 2 wide racing for 3rd, for 4th, everywhere on this racetrack as Ross Tatum starting to turn on the jets. We know how good he is on these long runs. It's starting to come into effect right now. Tatum all over the back bumper of Rickard entering 2.
Tatum outside, now inside. Both cars up against the safer barrier. Their next man to get around, Kyle McCoy. And McCoy has got about a quarter distance right there on the car length between McCoy and Rickard. Tatum stays on the outside, up on the top of the racetrack. Everyone else in the top 2 to the flat. Now back up the banking as they work into turn 1.
Some great battling going on here with 19 laps to go. Everybody still nose to tail here in this top 4. They've kind of pulled away from Tom Ogle there in 5th just a little bit. You see the 15, Dylan Hoffman. What will he do to try to get back around Ross Tatum? And look at the 29 machine, James Howard. I didn't even notice him until now. He is all the way back up to 6th. Don't count him out. He's only back by a 2nd and a 10th. He very well could make a run back up to the front of this field, but we've seen it here in this race so far from the 2 green flag runs that we've had here tonight being the long ones. That 29 starts to fade away in the long run. This isn't necessarily the super long run like we saw in those previous 2 runs, but it's a long enough run that this 29 machine might not be able to make headway back towards this front now.
McCoy, Rickard, Tatum, Hoffman, Ogle, top 5, 17 to go. Here at Kansas, does anybody got anything for Kyle McCoy? He opens up to about 2 car lengths now over the drivers of Rickard and Tatum as they work into turn number 2.
Yeah, and coming off turn number 2, Kyle McCoy puts a little bit more of a gap between him and Scott Rickard that time by. Now it's about 3/10 entering turn number 3. And Wesley, I mean, pick him out of a hat right now. I mean, anybody can still really win this race. I mean, one caution changes this entire race. Do you come in and pit? Do you not? I would definitely come into pit for sure, no doubt about it. But if it's about 5 laps to go, I mean, do you pit? That's the question. We're going to have to see. Obviously, these guys are all being really racy. And if I had to say, if there's anybody who I really do think could challenge Kyle McCoy, it's this 21 of Ross Tatum. But we've seen how hard it's been for him to pass drivers trying to make these moves. Will he be able to get around the 05? And if he does, can he catch the 7? Because remember, like we say here in the racing world, it's one thing to catch a guy, it's another to pass him.
McCoy, Rickard, Tatum, Hickory, Dickory, Dock. That's the way they are. Up the banking. Hoffman, Ogle, top 5, and they watch as they work that back straightaway. 15 laps to go, 14 at the line. McCoy, winner at Bristol last Thursday night in a very calm, cool, collective race. Shades of this one. What are we seeing? 3 cautions? I think Bristol had 3 or 4 cautions. That was it. Gotta really enjoy the professionalism of these virtual warlords, Jason, of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. There's a lot of respect given and earned, and they put on some great racing so far in the opening 7 weeks of the year.
Yeah, out of most of the leagues that I've covered throughout my broadcasting career here on iRacing so far, that's been short-lived so far, these guys are some of the most exciting I've seen so far, some of the most respectful, lots of competitiveness throughout the drivers, throughout the teams, week in and week out. We've talked to some got some humor, some are really serious. That's just how they are when it comes to sim time. But when you get into these sims, you get into your virtual cockpits at home, wherever you may be, man, you put on those gloves, you know, virtually and that virtual helmet, and man, you go to town. You got it. You know, you race your heart out, like we've seen here tonight from Ross Tatum, Scott Rickard, Kyle McCoy, Hoffman, Ogle, just to name the top 5. Some really, really talented guys up here in this field, and we've definitely been given a treat here this season so far.
Kyle McCoy in the lead, trying to be the first driver to go back-to-back 2 weeks in a row. And Jason, here's the thing. A totally different racetrack than Bristol Motor Speedway as well. 1.5 miles here at Kansas. Half-mile concrete track at Bristol. Totally different, and he's shining in the last 2 weeks winning here on the series.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much triple the length of what Bristol was 1 week ago, from a 0.5 mile. Now you go to a 1.5 mile. Absolutely crazy to see what we've been able to see out of these guys from last week to now. Obviously, you look at Kyle McCoy, totally different racetrack. You mentioned Wesley, and now he's looking for 2 in a row from 2 totally different racetracks. We're approaching 10 to go this time by. Man, he's the fastest car right now out of this top 5 by a 0.6 compared to most of these drivers running 32.7. I think Kyle McCoy's got this unless anything happens.
10 remaining, as my colleague Jason just mentioned. McCoy, Rickard, Tatum, Hoffman, Ogle, top 5. Howard, Robinson, Smith, Grayton, and Kreitz. Good run for the 46 in the top 10. And we're about to put single digits on the board in what has been a very quickly ran, less than an hour and 15 minutes so far here at Kansas. And they are closing in on the home stretch. Can anybody get around Kyle McCoy? They're back to 1.
Yeah, we're going to have to find out right here. I mean, the gap is still the same as what it was. And I mean, if these guys want any chance to catch Kyle McCoy, I think they're going to have to have a caution. And I'm really shocked to see that Ross Tatum wasn't able to really make up that ground. You know, he was second at the restart, he was third, now he's still running in third. Hasn't been able to run like originally he was in those first 2 stints of this race. Now with the last leg of it here coming to 8 to go this time, it's going to get interesting. I mean, does anybody have anything for Kyle McCoy late in this race? Scott Rickard just ran 200s faster than him that time by. Ross Tatum isn't really putting as much pressure as he's been the last couple laps, but Kyle McCoy has just been in a zip code of his own these last few laps. I just don't know if they got anything for him, Wesley. I really don't.
There is Scott Rickard, obviously the Tire Pros Chevrolet Camaro will end up with another solid podium finish and another good points day for the driver of the Tire Pros entry. Scott Rickard in second. Right now they're trying to run down that Celsius Live Fit, number 7. Kyle McCoy, car down to the inside. The Motorcraft, number 40. Part of an accident earlier with Tom Wisdom, the most recent caution. That's Paul Thomas getting out of the way. And 6 laps to go, Jason, when they come to the line. There's the purple and white number 7. He's on a mission. First man to win 2 in a row and his second win of the year if he pulls it off for McCoy back to 1 and 2.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting to see because, I mean, if he obviously gets the win here tonight, you look at the 21 of Scott Rickard trying to hold, or rather the 21 of Ross Tatum trying to get to the bottom of Scott Rickard. You know, one driver we haven't really talked about, only once or twice tonight, Will Bustler is all the way back in 19th. Started up, I believe, in the top 10, and now he's minus 12 back from where he started. So 19th right now for Will Bustler, not the showing he was probably wanting here tonight, considering he's got 2 wins up on the board. Kyle McCoy looking to challenge him and get his second win of the year right here as he's pulling out to more than a second now.
Kyle McCoy trying to be the first back-to-back driver to win in the series of the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Start number 125 tonight as well. Race start 119. He'll be his 29th career win of the Stars and Stripes Racing League if he pulls it off, along with 65 top 5s and 92 top 10s for the man that's led over 3,500 laps in the series. Kyle McCoy. There's Ross Tatum right there on board, the number 21 in third. He's trying to battle with Rickard, and McCoy is just in his own world right now. Less than 3 miles to go, 4.5 miles to go to be exact. 3 to go at the line, back to 1 at Kansas.
Yeah, and Ross Tatum's best shot right now is probably if a caution comes out. Same with the 05 of Scott Rickard. They're just hoping and praying for a yellow, saying somebody wreck, somebody spin, anything. Gosh, throw a cookie on the racetrack. They don't care. I mean, they need something to happen. I mean, the 21 wants this second place, and I know he wants this win, but it's really out of reach right now, not really out of his grasp. coming to 2 to go this time by. These guys have put on a phenomenal race here these last 20 laps for sure. No doubt, great battling. But ultimately, Kyle McCoy, if he can just hang on for one more lap to take the white flag and then have no mistakes on the final one, he's looking to be a 2-time winner.
Quickly trying to hit his marks. As right now, 1.5 laps to go. 2 miles remaining for the driver of the Arctic Vibe Celsius Lab Fit Chevrolet Camaro. Here he comes. McCoy down to the line. White flag in the air. The CRN 1 to go. One more time around. More details on Community Radio Network at wearecrn.com. McCoy in turn 1 and 2, looking to double down in the series on the backstretch.
Didn't even think Kyle McCoy was going to be a challenge here tonight after the battle we saw from Scott Rickard, Ross Tatum, and James Howard. But Kyle McCoy has silenced us, and he's coming off 4 for the final time to take win 2.
Here comes Kyle McCoy down to the line. 2 wins in a row. Bristol, now Kansas, and the first back-to-back winner on the series. Career win number 29 for the driver of the number 7 from Iowa. Wow.
Great run.
Amazing,
Absolutely
Jason.
stellar run. Yeah, stellar run for him to be able to go from what, I mean, Wesley, you made a really good point just a few laps ago, before the finish of this race. Going from Bristol to here, totally different racetrack. Concrete, asphalt, 1.5 miles, half mile.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, man. Kyle McCoy is a wheel man. We talked about it, obviously, after all the hard work. I mean, you could easily say this guy should have about 5 or 4 wins this year, and he's got 2 of them now. And it's been crazy to see how good he's been this season. I think Kyle McCoy definitely, just at this point of the season here, I think he's going to be a big title contender for sure, no doubt.
Let the celebration begin as he is beginning to burn it down. For the driver, Kyle McCoy, back-to-back wins from Bristol to Kansas. And he gets it done here in about 1 hour and 21 minutes sim time to become the winner here tonight at Kansas. Scott Rickard will finish second. Good points day for him, as I aforementioned, in the points championship. Ross Tatum, a good night for third. Dylan Hoffman, fourth. Thomas Ogle, top 5. One another solid day for the 11. He had a good run at Bristol, too. Joshua Robinson, James Howard, the pole car, finishing in the top 10. Jason Gratton, Zach Kreitz, and Christopher Smith. Jason, your top 10 when the checker flag fell at Kansas.
Yeah, then you got your top 20, Derek Offerman in that Joey Logano throwback, finishing P11. Then you have Josh Whitaker, 12th. Chris Lawson, great top 15 for him. I know it's not a top 10, but still just clawing away at it. Ellis Thomas, one of those Apex Energy guys, finishing 14th. Timmy McNally, 15th. You have Trey Jackson, Kyle Bowling, Andrew Hess, Will Bustler. Probably almost a what could have been night for him, but he wasn't really up at the front most of the night. And unfortunate heartbreaker for him, just shy of a top 15. He'll come home 19th. Then you have Ryan Lynch in that 31 cookout machine coming home in the top 20.
21st, we'll find William Duff. Tough break for him in the number 17. Robert Sherwood, 22nd of the 22 car. Brian Burchett, followed by Mark Fish, Paul Thomas, Brian Lynch. Round out the top 30, Mark Schrader, Dylan Glass, Tom Wizza, Diego Valle, all drivers that had problems, along with the other 3 starters, including Ben Dunn, Mitch Smith, and Aaron Hell. In a race that saw only 3 cautions. For the race summary presented by Virginia811.com, reminding you to dig with care. 3 cautions, 11 caution laps, 11 lead changes. Coming up, post-race wrap-up, and we grab the podium drivers here tonight from Kansas. Kyle McCoy, career win 29. It is his first driver this year to go back-to-back in the Stars and Stripes Racing League. The state of Iowa proudly being represented again after, of course, a big win last week at Bristol. He double downs, and Kyle McCoy will pick up the victory in, of course, that number 7 machine from Iowa. Congratulations, Kyle, as we welcome you back to our post-race wrap-up. Man, what a phenomenal job. You know, did really good at Bristol. This track is nothing like Bristol to win here at Kansas. What strategy it took to get the win. Congratulations. 2nd win of the year. First driver back-to-back this season on the Stars and Stripes Racing League.
Appreciate it, boys. I'm so pumped. That was awesome. That was not easy. I felt like the setup was really tight tonight. I think everybody will say that to you, but I just couldn't get a handle on it, and so I took it easy, and then found myself with a chance to win at the end, and that's really all you can ask for. And I'm so pumped about this one.
And Kyle, man, congratulations. You finally won last week when I wasn't here. I thought I was going to be the curse. Turns out I'm not. Glad I'm not. So 2nd win of the year for you, obviously. Late caution, obviously, around that 40 to 35 lap to go mark. What was your reaction? Because it looked like it was going to be a battle between Scott Rickard, Ross Tatum, and obviously maybe the 29 machine had those cycles of green flag pit stops all went through.
Man, I'm glad you're not the curse either. I was trying to figure out what was going on in these first 2 races, but finally got to finish a couple of these off. That last pit stop, I mean, I came out 3rd behind Ross and Scott, and that kind of looked like that was how it was going to be if it went green also. So I'm glad it kind of cycled that way. Sometimes the cautions can create some chaos at the end of these things, which I'm sure you guys are probably rooting for. But yeah, to be honest with you, that first restart happened. I couldn't get by any one of those guys, and I just kind of thought I was going to run 3rd. I mean, it's so hard to pass. You guys saw it when everybody gets kind of training around the top. I was wondering if that was going to happen with the setup the way it was this week, but sure enough, it came back to regular old Kansas. I got a little loose on that last run finally. That was nice to see, and just made a couple moves happen on the restart. I was able to get just enough on Ross to get by him, and then when I think Scott had a little slip in 1 and 2, but nothing crazy, and I was able to pull a slide job there, one of those corners, and make it happen. Once I got the lead, I knew I was going to be in a better spot, obviously, because of the dirty air and the way it works. So, again, super pumped. That was awesome. These guys are really tough to beat, and they proved that again tonight, and just got lucky with a couple nice moves and good positioning.
Well, Kyle, we'll let you thank your sponsors, man, and I'll add one more question. Are you thinking making a run to possibly try to go after the point standings now and looking at a run for a championship, or are we just still way off in this thing?
This is usually, honestly, it's a little early for me to kind of show up this thing. Usually I like to make my entrance at the end, but it's nice to have a couple wins early on in the season, and the playoff points are so huge because I think we got this like kind of five race playoff, and this is all going to be buffer, and there's no way I'm catching Scott in the regular season standings because he's just clicking off top 5s like nobody's business. But I do feel better about my standing than I did 2 weeks ago. I can tell you that much. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. These guys are so tough in here. I mean, we got Ross, Will, Scott. You got James who showed up tonight. You got a bunch of guys that could win at any moment, really. And it's really going to come down to the tracks that are in the playoffs and how many points you can build before you get there. So I'm pumped that I was able to kind of capitalize at a track that I consider one of my favorites, even though the setup certainly wasn't. Yeah, pumped for that, and I like my chances a lot better after these last 2 weeks.
Kyle McCoy, 29th career win for the man of the number 7 from Iowa. Big win for him, 2 in a row. Let's go down to the man that'll finish in the number 2 spot and get his take on tonight. Scott Rickard, another good points day for the number, of course, number 05 out of New York. Your take of this evening, and where did things change? Because it looked like at one time you were the guy to beat.
I shouldn't have gave up the lead at the end of the beginning of the last run. Later, it was a lot more important than I thought it was going to be. Well, it's because I didn't have it that much the entire race up to then anyway.
Yeah, and obviously, Scott, great run for you guys here tonight, no doubt about that. I mean, coming down, those last few laps, it looked like it was going to be you trying to catch the 7, which we were not familiar how Kyle was going to be out there. We saw how strong you were later on in the runs. You had Ross behind you, man. What more could you have done to obviously try to get that win?
Yeah, just not give up the track position like I did. That was... I fortunately realized that after like 10 laps, I I'm like, this was a mistake to give up the lead and the clean air that came with it.
Scott, points have updated, my friend. You have a 46-point gap now on Christopher Smith. 53 now on winner tonight, Kyle McCoy, who's in the third, who climbed up as well. What's your take on that moving into short track racing again at Richmond next Thursday night?
That's pretty what I'm good at. It's just pointing people, doing points to top 5 like this. Plus, I like the next few weeks anyway, especially tonight. Before I realized how bad the setup felt. The next few weeks are some of my good tracks too, so we'll see.
Well, Bud, before I let you go, thank you, sponsors. Good job in second.
Everybody on the team, people that put it on, my dog, and everybody on my team too. Especially McCoy, he won too. Doing this together, 4 of us doing a team this year has been fun.
There you go. Driver out of New York, the Tire Pros, High Rock Vodka, Chevrolet, Scott Rickard will be the points leader moving into next week, of course, at Richmond after tonight. 46 points over Christopher Smith, Kyle McCoy, Will Bustler, Dylan Hoffman, your top 5. Thomas Ogle, Ross Tatum, Kyle Bolin, and Joshua Robinson. Christian Lawson has moved into the top 10 as well, and Ross Tatum will grab him now. Ross, your take of this race, I mean, do you kind of have the same sentiments that Rickard had if you had to go back and do it again? Track position, shouldn't have pitted. What's your thoughts? Third place on the podium.
I just need that turbo pit stop that Scott got there at the end. He beat me out by like a second on that pit stop. I came in first. But yeah, it was just really, really hard to pass tonight. I was quite a bit faster than 29 after like 20 laps, and I just could not pass them. I couldn't get a run on them. I couldn't get any clean air, and it just made it real tough. But I mean, it was fun, but it was super difficult to do anything on the low side tonight.
Yeah, and Ross, great run for you tonight, man. Obviously, I think me and Wesley probably both thought you were going to run away with this win, possibly, obviously. Then the caution came out. Scott beat you out of the pits, and the thing is we said you had probably the best long run car, and I mean right there towards the end, obviously it's like you weren't able to pass Scott, weren't able to catch obviously Kyle. What was dirty air a big factor tonight, because we saw how hard it was to pass on that inside?
Yeah, iRacing done messed up and made it kind of realistic. I mean, it's just like real hard to get any kind of run on anybody, especially when you're right behind them. It's been really pronounced in these cars for whatever reason. Track position is huge in these cars. The guy in the lead has such an advantage. So it's just like real life, so I can't complain, but man, it makes it tough when you're in traffic and stuff. And it's just disappointing at a track like Kansas, that's so wide, and that iRacing had perfect for so many years, where you could run top and bottom and be the same speed, and there's a little bit of tire strategy and stuff. And now it's just everybody's got to train up top. So I mean, shout out to Kyle and Dylan for making those big moves on the bottom to get to the front. That was ballsy, because I couldn't do it. I was just way too tight down there. But I mean, all in all, I mean, you're dealt cards you're dealt, and we did what we could, got a third, so it's not too bad.
Well, Ross, on to the next one. It'll be at Richmond. What do you do different from tonight to prepare for that short track event? Darlington, Charlotte, next 3. Do you feel like you got a chance to get back to Victory Lane?
I don't know about Victory Lane, but I know with those 3 tracks, I don't have to practice. I can just show up Thursday and race. So that's the main thing. Man, I'm just so unmotivated right now in iRacing. So it's just nice to come into a league like this that's so good, so much clean racing, and you can just come out and enjoy it, because there's so few leagues like this. So really, it's just a pleasure. And then having you guys broadcast too. So it's just real fun to go back and watch. So it's just look forward to this league, but I don't really look forward to iRacing right now.
Before I let you go, man, thank your sponsors, Ross.
Appreciate it, guys. I got to thank Will Bustler first and foremost for making my awesome paint schemes. He made me a Topo Chico car. We're picking up Topo Chico at Coca-Cola. It's a sparkling mineral water from Mexico, so that's pretty exciting. Everybody go try the new Coke Spiced. It tastes like raspberry. It's pretty awesome. We had a big launch this week. I think my teammates Rob, Josh, and Will, those guys make it fun to show up every single week. I got to thank you guys at LSRTV. Love you guys, how good you guys do. Wesley, you're so awesome on play-by-play, and Jason and Charles are so awesome at what they do too. And I got to thank On the Throttle Podcast for sponsoring the league, Verizon, and then, just everyone at Stars and Stripes, Butt Kicker at Next Level Racing, and just all the viewers. Appreciate it.
Ross Tatum again have another solid night with a podium. Will finish in 7th for the man that's got 1 win on the year. By the way, 7th in the point standings. And that'll wrap things up here tonight. As again, of course, Scott Rickard will hold on to a 46-point lead when we move into Richmond. Jason, gonna miss you next Thursday night in Richmond, but I know Charles or somebody will be in the chair. But man, your take of tonight at Kansas, what a great show, what a great series. I said this, me and Charles did, and I will be repetitive again tonight. You heard Ross say it. I'll say it again. What an awesome group of drivers in the Stars and Stripes Racing League. Not ridiculous bumping, banging, gouging, wrecking, intentional things that we've seen sometimes in other iRacing leagues. What a great group of guys. Ran 140 laps or 133, 200 miles in less than an hour and 15 minutes. Bristol was great. Awesome group of people here, man, and always fun working with you.
Yeah, absolutely a blast tonight. It was a race that we were probably going to think was going to go green, probably had a lot of racing, and there was racing throughout the field. Didn't really have a clear factor of who was going to win this probably until that caution flag when Kyle McCoy got out to that race lead of over a second. Good job to him. Good job to these guys. Love calling this series. Pleasure, obviously. I'll be back for Darlington in a couple weeks, and I'll be tuning into Richmond next week for sure. Should be a fun one.
Always great being able to work with Jason Rockefeller, Charles Wooten as well, iRacing on LSRTV. As always, follow us at LSRTV on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Same thing with the Stars and Stripes Racing League. They're available on Discord. And hook them up. Find them on an iRacing platform if you want to become a part of the team as well. Next week, it is on to Richmond Raceway, as I aforementioned, for the next round number 8 on the schedule. Should be a good one. It'll be the Next Level Racing 180 at Richmond Raceway under the lights, 180 laps next Thursday night. The Stars and Stripes Racing League for iRacing on LSRTV has been presented by these fine sponsors. Thanks again one more time to Butt Kicker. We appreciate them and all that they do in iRacing. Next Level Racing. Check out the most recent podcast of NASCAR commentary and more on the Throttle Podcast on major platforms and outlets. And finally, Verizon, the biggest 5G network. And I'm proud to say they didn't have no technical cellular woes today. For Rocket Racing Media, Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten, Jason Rockefeller, I'm Wesley Outland. Good night. Congrats, Kyle McCoy. Winner tonight at Kansas. We'll see you next week in Richmond.